Imagine waking up to the smell of salt water, the cries of gulls overhead, and the distant, rhythmic whoosh of waves crashing against the shore. This was everyday life for the trainers at Blue Sea, a sprawling marine park nestled along the California coastline, a place where the wonders of the ocean were brought to life, or so it seemed, for millions of visitors each year. But beyond the dazzling smiles and synchronized splashes, behind the captivating performances and carefully crafted narratives, lay a world of hidden complexities, a world where the lines between entertainment and exploitation blurred, and where the consequences of captivity lingered beneath the surface like a dangerous riptide. Today, we're diving into the heart of that world. A world inhabited by dedicated professionals, magnificent creatures, and ultimately, a tragedy that would forever change the way we look at marine parks. Our story begins on a seemingly ordinary summer morning at Blue Sea. The sun, a familiar friend to the park, was already high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the pristine turquoise waters of the Orca enclosure. The air buzzed with anticipation as staff prepared for another day of shows, educational presentations, and up-close encounters with the park's star attractions, its orcas. Two figures stand out amongst the bustling crowd. One is Elise Moreau. Picture her, athletic build, sun-kissed hair perpetually pulled back in a practical ponytail, and eyes that held a depth that hinted at her profound connection with the ocean and its inhabitants. She was a senior trainer at Blue Sea, a seasoned veteran with over a decade of experience working with orcas. Her passion was palpable, her dedication unwavering. Elise wasn't just going through the motions. For her, this wasn't just a job, it was a vocation. She genuinely believed that she was enriching the lives of these magnificent animals, providing them with stimulation and care within the confines of their captive environment. She poured her heart and soul into her work, spending countless hours, observing, interacting, and learning everything she could about orca behavior. She knew their individual personalities, their quirks, their preferences. She could anticipate their movements, interpret their vocalizations, and sense their moods with an almost preternatural accuracy. Her colleagues respected her, admired her. The newer trainers looked up to her as a mentor, a guiding light in the often turbulent waters of the marine park industry. She was known for her patience, her empathy, and her unwavering commitment to the well-being of the animals under her care. But beneath her calm and confident exterior, a growing unease had begun to take root, a nagging feeling that something wasn't quite right. And then there was Kayla, a name that once evoked images of grace and power, but would soon become synonymous with tragedy. Kayla was a northern resident orca, a breathtaking creature of immense size and intelligence. She possessed the striking black and white markings, the powerful musculature, and the captivating presence that made orcas such compelling attractions. But Kayla's story, like so many captive orcas, began with a brutal capture from the wild. Torn from her family pod at a young age, she endured a series of transfers between different facilities, each move stripping away another piece of her natural identity. She had spent years performing in shows, confined to concrete tanks, and subjected to unnatural routines. While Kayla's performances were always met with roaring applause, it's crucial to remember that behind every perfectly executed jump, every synchronized splash, was a lifetime of deprivation and psychological stress. The constant confinement, the artificial social structures, the lack of natural stimuli all took a heavy toll on her well-dash. Being Elise, with her keen eye and empathetic nature, had noticed subtle changes in Kayla's behavior in the weeks leading up to that fateful day, little things almost imperceptible to the untrained observer. A slight hesitation during a routine, a momentary lapse in focus, a subtle shift in her vocalizations. These were not overt acts of aggression, but rather subtle signals of distress, whispers of discontent emanating from a deeply troubled soul. She voiced her concerns to her superiors, detailing her observations and suggesting modifications to Kayla's training schedule. More enrichment, more opportunities for social interaction, a reduced performance load. But her suggestions were met with resistance, dismissed as oversensitivity, or attributed to Kayla simply having an off day. The pressure to maintain the show, to meet revenue targets, and to uphold the park's image as a safe and family-friendly attraction, overshadowed any concerns for Kayla's, well, being dot. It was a familiar pattern, a dangerous cycle of neglect and denial that permeated the marine park industry. The needs of the animals were often secondary to the demands of the business, and the voices of those who dared to speak out were often silenced or ignored. As Elise walked towards the Orca enclosure that morning, a sense of dread weighed heavily on her heart. She knew that something was brewing, that the delicate balance between human and orca was about to be shattered. The air hung thick with an unspoken tension, a premonition of the impending storm. The cheers of the crowd, the upbeat music, and the dazzling spectacle of the show would soon be replaced by screams of terror and the chilling realization that some bonds were never meant to be forged in captivity. Today, the veil of illusion would be ripped away, revealing the terrifying truth that lay hidden beneath the surface. And Elise and Kayla would be forever bound by a tragedy that would echo far beyond the walls of Blue Sea. The story of Elise and Kayla wasn't a sudden tragedy. It was a slow-motion car crash with flashing warning lights that were systematically ignored. It was a tragedy foretold, written in the increasingly erratic behavior of a magnificent creature pushed beyond its breaking point. Kayla, like many captive orcas, was a compilation of traumas. Imagine being snatched from your family, your ocean, your very identity, and thrust into a chlorinated box. It's no wonder she carried a heavy burden of stress, anxiety, and, yes, even rage. And that rage wasn't invisible. It manifested in subtle shifts, almost imperceptible at first. But Elise, with her deep understanding of Kayla, was the first to notice. A slight hesitation before a familiar trick, a fleeting blankness in Kayla's usually bright eyes, a barely perceptible tightening of her jaw. Small changes, yes, but significant in the delicate dance of trust and communication they'd developed. She started documenting these observations, meticulously logging every deviation from Kayla's normal behavior. She noted the increase in jaw pops, a known stress indicator in orcas, where they snapped their jaws audibly. She flagged instances where Kayla seemed disinterested in food rewards, a clear sign that something was amiss. She recorded the times. Kayla would isolate herself at the bottom of the pool, seemingly withdrawn and unresponsive. Elise wasn't just seeing quirks. She was reading a distress signal, a cry for help written in the language of an animal confined in suffering, and she didn't stay silent. She raised her concerns with her superiors, senior trainers, the veterinary staff, even the park's management. She compiled her observations into detailed reports, presented alongside research on the detrimental effects of captivity on orca behavior. She pointed to studies showing increased aggression, shortened lifespans, and psychological distress in captive orcas compared to their wild counterparts. She wasn't advocating for the immediate release of Kayla. She understood the complexities of that situation. But she pleaded for changes to Kayla's routine, more enrichment activities to stimulate her mind, longer periods of free play to allow her to express natural behaviors, a reduction in the intensity and frequency of performance schedules to alleviate stress. She suggested introducing new interactive toys, creating simulated hunting scenarios, and even exploring the possibility of temporarily housing Kayla with another, more compatible orca to address her social isolation. But her pleas were largely dismissed. The response from management was a consistent, disheartening refrain. Kayla's fine. She's just being an orca. Don't worry so much, Elise, you're too attached. The show must go on. The pressures of the park's anniversary celebration, the need to maintain attendance numbers, the lucrative revenue generated by Kayla's performances, these concerns consistently outweighed the well-being of both the animal and the trainer. There was a deeply ingrained culture of denial, a willful blindness to the mounting evidence of Kayla's distress, a belief that as long as the show went on, everything was all right. It was a dangerous delusion built on a foundation of complacency and greed. One incident stands out. A few weeks before the tragedy, during a particularly demanding training session, Kayla refused to surface for an extended period. Elise, fearing the worst, frantically signaled for assistance. The entire training team held their breath, bracing for the possibility of a medical emergency. Finally, Kayla re-emerged, seemingly unfazed, but the tension in the air was palpable. Later, Elise confronted the head trainer, again emphasizing the urgency of the situation. His response: she probably just needed a nap. Orcas are dramatic. It was a dismissive and frankly reckless comment that perfectly encapsulated the park's overall approach to animal welfare. The warning signs became more frequent, more pronounced. Near misses during performances, Kayla's increasing reluctance to engage with certain tricks, instances of aggression towards other orcas in the pool, internal reports documenting similar incidents at other facilities where Kayla had been held, began to resurface in hushed conversations among the staff. Whispers of Kayla's troubled past, her traumatic capture, her history of aggression, spread like wildfire through the employee break room. The breakdown of safety protocols wasn't a sudden event. It was a gradual erosion, a slow decay caused by neglect and mismanagement. Corners were cut, procedures were overlooked, and concerns were ignored, all in the name of profit and the relentless pursuit of a perfect performance. Even the other trainers felt it, a growing sense of unease, a tightening knot of dread in the pit of their stomachs. They saw the subtle signs, the changes in Kayla's behavior, the park management's dismissive attitude, but fear, loyalty to the park, and the need to keep their jobs kept them silent. They were trapped in a system that prioritized spectacle over safety, profit over well-being, and ultimately illusion over reality. The unspoken truth hung heavy in the air. Something terrible was going to happen. It was only a matter of time, and sadly, the time was running out. The chilling 911 call, now a matter of public record, captured the raw horror. She's in the water. The orcas got her. She's not coming up, ... But those frantic words only hint at the sheer brutality of what unfolded. The attack itself was a maelstrom of chaos, a horrifying spectacle witnessed by hundreds. Imagine the screams, the splashing, the desperate cries for help lost amidst the churning water. Kayla, driven by forces we can only speculate on, unleashed a power that dwarfed any illusion of control. She didn't just playfully interact, she attacked with calculated ferocity. Eyewitness accounts, though traumatized and often conflicting, paint a consistent picture. Elise, initially stunned, fought valiantly, desperately trying to escape the relentless grip of the orca. But Kayla, a creature of immense strength and agility, was relentless. She'd drag Elise down, hold her under for agonizing seconds, only to release her briefly before pulling her under again. The water, once pristine, turned crimson, a stark testament to the violence unfolding beneath the surface. Children screamed, parents recoiled in horror, and the festive atmosphere of the anniversary celebration dissolved into abject terror. Trainers on the poolside, frozen in disbelief at first, scrambled to intervene. They deployed nets, attempted to distract Kayla with food, blasted sonic deterrents, all to no avail. Kayla remained fixated, her actions a chilling display of raw, untamed power. It was as if the accumulated trauma, the years of confinement, the forced performances, had finally erupted in a single devastating act. The agonizing minutes stretched into an eternity. Finally, after what seemed like an impossible struggle, Kayla was coaxed into a separate enclosure. Elise's lifeless body was recovered from the pool, the vibrant orange of her wetsuit now stained a horrifying red. The silence that descended upon the stadium was deafening, broken only by the wails of distraught spectators and the distant sirens growing louder. The arrival of emergency services brought a semblance of order to the chaos, but the horror lingered. Paramedics worked frantically, but it was too late. Elise Moreau, the beloved trainer, the orca whisperer, was gone. The media response was instantaneous and overwhelming. News trucks descended upon Santa Cruz, transforming the once peaceful town into a battleground of reporters, cameras, and microphones. The story was everywhere: television, radio, newspapers, and, of course, the burgeoning world of online news and social media. The public outcry was deafening. Animal rights activists seized upon the tragedy as a stark indictment of orca captivity. Protests erupted outside Blue Sea and other marine parks across the globe. The internet exploded with outrage, grief, and calls for change. Petitions demanding an end to orca captivity garnered millions of signatures. Celebrities weighed in, adding their voices to the growing chorus of condemnation. The carefully constructed image of Blue Sea as a family-friendly entertainment venue crumbled under the weight of public scrutiny. The park was immediately shut down, its future uncertain. Investigations were launched by OSHA and other regulatory agencies. Lawsuits were filed, seeking to hold Blue Sea accountable for its alleged negligence. The autopsy report, when released, detailed the horrific extent of Elise's injuries, confirming the brutality of the attack. The report served as a grim reminder of the sheer power of these magnificent creatures and the inherent risks involved in keeping them confined. Kayla, the orca at the center of the tragedy, became a pariah, a symbol of the dark side of orca captivity. Some called for her euthanasia, arguing that she was a danger to humans. Others saw her as a victim, a creature driven to desperation by years of confinement and mistreatment. She was isolated, removed from the performance pool, and confined to a smaller enclosure, a solitary figure in a concrete prison. The debate over orca captivity intensified. The scientific community weighed in, highlighting the intelligence, social complexity, and physical needs of these animals. The ethical implications of keeping them confined in artificial environments were fiercely debated. Documentaries expose the harsh realities of orca captivity, detailing the physical and psychological toll on these magnificent creatures. The legacy of Elise Moreau became intertwined with the movement to end orca captivity. She became a symbol of the human cost of this controversial practice, a reminder of the risks involved in interacting with these powerful animals in a confined environment. Her death sparked a renewed commitment to protecting orcas and advocating for their freedom. The events at Blue Sea also cast a long shadow on the lives of those who worked there. Trainers, many of whom had dedicated their lives to the care of marine mammals, were left traumatized, grappling with guilt, grief, and disillusionment. The attack forced them to confront the ethical complexities of their profession and question the very nature of their relationships with these animals. Blue Sea never reopened. The once thriving marine park became a haunting reminder of the tragedy that unfolded within its walls. The empty pools, the silent stadiums, served as a stark testament to the dangers of prioritizing entertainment over animal welfare. The story of Elise and Kayla became a cautionary tale, a tragic reminder of the consequences of ignoring the warning signs and prioritizing profit over the well-being of both humans and animals. The ripple effects of that fateful day continue to be felt, shaping the debate over orca captivity and challenging our understanding of the relationship between humans and the natural world.